In December, I'll be in Beijing, opening up new markets.
Huzzah! We're back in a studio, in a hot bedroom on the top floor, in Britain, where there's no air conditioning. The makeup job is pulling in some fucking overtime to cover how wet I am. Yes, after being effectively homeless for 8 months, after moving back to the United Kingdom, I am situated in a lovely home with a creepy fucking murder basement, and I am here to talk to you once again about the video game industry. Oh god, I'm so wet. I'm fucking dripping with sweat.
In December, I'll be in Beijing, opening up new pork markets.
Electronic Arts has gotten itself plenty of reason to be fucking smug this week, as the UK government announced that despite its own and many other reports confirming that loot boxes are virtually indistinguishable from gambling and carry many of the same risks to those exposed to them, it would elect not to regulate one of gaming's most pernicious get-richer-quicker schemes. Last month, the UK decided not to take a legislative approach to the rampantly unmoderated predation of customers, despite itself saying those who engage with loot boxes are more likely to experience gambling, mental health, financial and problem gaming related harms. It hasn't entirely ruled out the prospect of regulation in future, contingent on whether or not the game industry can control the sale of loot boxes to young people, though I fully expect companies to hide behind the parental controls built into consoles. And really, I don't expect the UK government in its current excessively corpocratic fascistic incarnation to ever do anything but pay lip service to the issue, as it remains committed to ignoring anything that actually harms people, and instead focus on fighting its petty, infantile little culture wars.
Pork markets.
Electronic Arts has confirmed that in the wake of the news it would be sticking with the loot boxes in the FIFA series, smarmily adding, "We wholeheartedly believe that Ultimate Team and FUT packs, which have been part of the game for more than a decade, are a part of FIFA that players love. Fans love that the game reflects the real-world excitement and strategy of building and managing a squad. Giving players the choice to spend if they want to is fair." Naturally, the statement has been uncritically printed by news outlets, essentially giving the publisher an unchallenged platform to continue spreading lies that can be very easily pushed back against. While EA is now behaving as if this is exoneration and used the ruling to further its own off-base propaganda regarding in-game gambling mechanics, it has to be said that this is a legislative victory and not a moral one. Indeed, that fact is quite fucking distinct. The UK's Tory government siding with corporate interests is about as natural a thing as Yves Guillemot condoning and promoting abusers within Ubisoft's company structure. Right now, the leadership contest between Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss following Boris Johnson's definitely maybe resignation is about who can appeal most to wealthy elites, bigots and corporate vampires. Just the other day, Truss, the fucking turf, came out against, of all goddamn things, solar energy, bemoaning how the existence of solar panels has meant she no longer sees fucking livestock and crops when driving near fields. Mate, I drive around in Yorkshire and all I fucking see are sheeps and cows. But to refute this incorrect, literally unscientific bullshit is to insult all of our intelligences, so let's just settle on the argument that if Liz doesn't fucking like it, she should open a couple of new pork markets.
Pork markets.
I mentioned in a previous episode that there's a cost of living crisis in the UK. or rather a cost of greed crisis, as the Conservative government allowed energy companies to rapidly increase their prices to utterly staggering heights, and rather than do anything to address the millions of Britons who can no longer afford to power their homes, have instead focused on doing a big cry about pronouns and trans women in sports, something the UK populace literally doesn't care about according to polls, because they've got more important shit to worry about, like the fucking cost of greed crisis. The undeniable thing is, the UK is fully in the grip of corporate rule, where policy is decided by how many more billions the executive class would like to make that week. By the way, energy companies are boasting of record-breaking profits after raising their prices, something they alleged was to cover costs. This is a situation that should be very familiar to game industry followers after watching publishers boast about the exact same thing while using the exact same excuse. It's almost as if when you zoom out of the game industry to look at the socio-economic environment it exists in, you can sure as shit see how everything is the same cycle of greed and exploitation across every industry. But I'm bringing all of this up not to once again preen my feathers about how right I am to regularly mention capitalism and politics in my critique of the game industry, but to point out the kind of government that is giving Electronic Arts and its predatory ilk as long a leash as it would like while pretending it gives a shit. And it's hardly exclusive to the United Kingdom. The United States is as corrupt as they come, having literally allowed the corn industry to poison the population for years by cramming corn syrup, a substance regulated elsewhere in the world, into everything up to and including bread. God, the average American really doesn't know how disgusting its food is. Get some real fucking bread in ya! Well, I mean, you can't really, because it's really hard to get hold of. Thanks, corn industry. Twats. That's just one example of the detrimental effect political lobbying by corporations has had on the world, and while it's nice that there's at least some governmental admission that loot boxes are harmful across the world, and that at least some countries are doing more than simply talking about it, there's no way a force as powerful and rich as the video game industry is going to give ground. It'll fight tooth and nail to continue supplying finely tuned psychological predation to its target audience. Emphasis on the word target. Because that, as we've argued for years, is what loot boxes do. They target people, prey upon them, particularly on the neurodivergent, and yes, those ever in need of saving childrens. We've done the journalism on this very show to highlight just how harmful in-game gambling and microtransactions can be on vulnerable people, on the people the game industry has researched, stalked, and ultimately victimized. And if that sounds like melodramatic sentiment, you haven't been paying attention to how callously the industry's claws are sunk into some people. Those stories of people unwittingly spending thousands and thousands of dollars on FIFA Ultimate Team, often unknowingly doing so because of the way microtransactions make it difficult to keep track of spending, are treated like quick throwaway pieces by media, something for people to tut at, maybe blame the victim and move on. But this is what microtransactions are designed to do to a select group of people. Problem gamblers, impulsive shoppers, people with ADHD and autism, children whose parents aren't technologically savvy enough to anticipate that a child-rated football game would do that to their bank accounts. And yet, EA, unrepentant and so fucking sleazy in its response, continues to peddle long discredited justifications that nobody in a position to do so has ever publicly and directly refuted enough. It's worth saying that spending is entirely optional in our game, and we do not encourage spending over earning rewards through gameplay, said the company that designed its economy to exploit thousands of dollars out of individual players. FAT packs work in just the same way, whether they are paid for or earned, and most players don't spend in-game at all. For example, 9 out of 10 FAT packs opened in FIFA 22 were earned. Just a few episodes ago, we tore into the awful excuse that loot boxes and microtransactions are okay because they only prey upon a small percentage of players, rather than be treated as the horrifying indictment it is, the awful proof that microtransactions are designed to exploit a very specific group of people. It's instead used as a crutch to prop up the shakiest of explanations. Once again, EA repeats its lies without answering for how grindy its in-game earnings are, how purpose-built said grind is in tricking the unwary into spending obscene amounts, how the very presence of microtransactions is an accessibility issue because they literally target disabled people. It's sick. Electronic Arts is fucking sick. No amount of legislation or lack thereof will ever account for that truth.
Pork market.
Oh yeah, that's a fucking good photo. Anyway, I'll be in Preston Flag Market 1 PM for PCW this Saturday, August 20th. And then that very same day, August 20th, I will be in Newcastle for Avant-Garde Wrestling at the Jubilee Club. I think it's like 6:30, something like that. Come along, say hello if you want, or don't. I said many years ago that ideally, I didn't want government regulation of loot boxes. Ideally, I didn't want government intervention in the game industry, but you cannot trust corporations to police themselves, as has been evidenced time and time again. And at this point, for me, yeah, sure, the safety aspect is important, but to me, just on a personal level, it's equally important to see regulation as simply a middle fucking finger to a reckless, harmful, evil-minded industry. And it is evil. What FIFA does, what FAT does, is fucking evil. It is exploitative, it is predatory. We've used these words time and time again, but we use them time and time again because it's always been true, and time again, the video game industry at large has fucking ignored all of the criticism, all of the warnings, all of the spot-on refutation of their propagandistic bullshit. And yes, under a Tory government, we will likely never see regulation of the video game industry, or indeed any corporate interests whatsoever. Deregulation to the point of fucking catastrophe is pretty much the Tory manifesto at this point. Something too political, something capitalism bad, something thank God for me.
Pork market.